It was November 2020, just 2 years ago. Violent protests at the Capitol, wildfires burning across the state, the middle of a pandemic and national emergency. Those events were the backdrop to Amanda Ray's swearing in as the California Highway Patrol Commissioner.
It's been some of the most challenging times in law enforcement, and which I wouldn't have had it any other way, because, I mean, if you want to lead, you have to be leading through something.
She was appointed during an unprecedented time in our nation's history, and Ray made history of her own, becoming the first woman and second African American ever to lead the CHP in its 91-year history. This UC Berkeley graduate and college basketball star, the youngest of 8 children from Oakland. She started her career 33 years ago, holding every rank in CHP.
Was there one rank or position that you preferred or another? Well, like, what's your favorite?
This one. This one. To be able to make the decisions on behalf of the Highway Patrol is an amazing opportunity.
Under her leadership, the CHP organized retail crime task force expanded, cracking down on smash and grab thefts, especially during the holidays. The CHP also created a task force to address street racing and sideshows, and her team launched an ambitious campaign to fill 11,000 vacant positions in just 2 years. Ray says applications have gone up, but the target hasn't been met yet.
It's really just making sure that people know who we are. Hey, we have people who worked in gas stations, people who are store clerks, people who worked at, all over the place, coffee shops, and they too are the Highway Patrol.
While Ray knows she won't be behind the commissioner's desk to see the outcome of the goals she set in motion, there is one mission she accomplished.
Reinvigorating the public's trust in the Highway Patrol and what we do and who we are as a department, being introspective, being reflective, listening to the public and getting out there and really using the information that we glean from the public to make changes that really help us to serve the public better.
Do you think you did that to restore the public's trust in the CHP?
I think I did all that I could during my time to do that, yes.
Congratulations to this.
Leading a department of 11,000 with 9 divisions across the state comes with its share of challenges and news-making headlines. Although she won't talk about the case itself, for the first time during our interview, Commissioner Ray spoke publicly about the death of CHP Captain Julie Harding, who was found dead in Tennessee just months after her husband was shot and killed in Kentucky.
It's unfortunate, and anytime we lose a member of our team, we're saddened. Things are going to happen in life, and sometimes a person may need to reach out, and if they do, we have resources for our employees to be able to reach out. We're a family, and that's what it boils down to, is just making sure that we look out for each other, that, you've heard us say, be your brother or sister's keeper, and that's really what it's all about.
Is there anything, as you're looking back over this career, I'm sure you are spending a lot of time reflecting right now, that you would say or describe as a greatest failure?
When I go back and I think about, if I had one thing that I regret, it was that I wasn't able to spend as much time with my son that I would have liked to. There's times where, and you work this job, sometimes you get called out at dinner, you're called out in the middle of the night. There's things I've missed, there's games and things like that I've missed. But yes, if I had any regrets, would be that, and with some of my family members, things that I have had to miss.
As she prepares to walk out of this door for the last time, Commissioner Ray told me she's looking forward to spending more time with family, taking a vacation, taking some cooking lessons, and not having to sleep with a phone, awaiting the next important phone call.
Someone always told me, you're going to know when it's time, and I would just say it's time.
In Sacramento, Brandy Cummings, KCRA 3 News.
Commissioner Ray's last day is a week from today, and then moving forward, Deputy Commissioner Sean Dury will be serving as acting commissioner. The decision on who gets the job full-time will be made by Governor Gavin Newsom.